Hey babes, my name's Hannah.
And my name's Chasity.
Welcome back to Bookish Babes. Today we are filming our October reading wrap-up. It's weird to say.
I definitely thought we were around.
I know. Can't believe it's already November. I have got 7 books, which I think is my best reading month yet. She's got 12.
Which may be my best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
October was a good month. And so far, November is a good month. We are filming this on November 7th, and I'm already 3 books in.
That's really good.
I know.
I don't know how many. I don't think I'm not. I don't even think
it's just because I'm not on track
3
to
months
read my.
in? I'm definitely not 3
you're
months
3 months in. I'm not currently on track to reach my goal, and so I'm like reading a lot more than I typically do.
Okay.
To reach my goal of 60, I think I'm at 45 right now, which I could totally do.
You could totally do. You got this. Yeah. There's definitely one goal that I had for this year that I know I'm not gonna hit.
No.
It's not my reading goal. I think I'm gonna hit, but there's definitely one thing that I said that I was gonna set out to do, and it's.
What was it?
I don't think I'm gonna finish it before the end of the year.
Oh, you don't think you're gonna finish it? Switch to the audiobook.
I don't want to do that.
It's scary.
It's scary.
Yeah, it is scary. Side note, we are both wearing our shirts made by Stephanie at Smitten Kitten. Mine is a Sansa Stark inspired, so this is inspired by like one of the necklaces that she wore in the later seasons. I want to say it was like season 6 when she was married to Ramsay. This really one says Queen in the North, and the other side, if I can get it in, says The North Remembers, and then the back, if I can get it, says Stark, and it has the Stark logo.
Real cute.
Yep.
Real cute.
Very cute. Love it.
I mean, that's no shock here.
I know.
Mine is a Court of Thorns and Roses.
Yes.
Shirt.
These turned out really cool.
This is one of the Bat Boys shirt. The High Lord himself. Rhysand shirt, but it says Death Incarnate. Gosh, I can't speak today at all. This is not going to go well if I can't talk.
Right.
Some amazing wings here on the sleeve. You know. And then I don't know if I'm really gonna get this.
Here you go.
Great.
You can see it.
Perfect.
Rhysand with the crown. If you want to see the rest of them, Stephanie did post it on her business's Facebook page.
Yeah.
It's really cool because the Cassian and the Azrael ones have like siphons on it.
I love them.
Yeah.
They're so beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about them.
Yay. So do you want to jump in? You should probably start since you have more.
Yeah, sure. I shall begin. So the very first one that I read in the month of October was None of This Rocks by Joe Troman, the lead guitarist and co-founder of Fall Out Boy. If you know anything about me, you know I am like one of the biggest Fall Out Boy fans there is. I love them so much. And I was like super stoked that this book was coming out. I requested a copy of the advanced reader copy from NetGalley, which I did get accepted for, so thank you, NetGalley. And I had started reading it, and I really took my time kind of just reading it, and nonfiction takes me a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And I had like a few other projects going on as well, but I also obviously I was gonna buy the physical copy anyways, who are we kidding? But I also had the opportunity to go to a signing and had him sign my book, so that was amazing. But I do have to say, like, this was one of the most amazing memoirs that I've read, because he dealt with like a lot of stuff. Coming from a very young age, like he dealt with a mother that was very sick, and he's dealt with a lot of mental illness and dealing with like imposter syndrome and everything, going through like the rise to fame, and he speaks very openly about it, and I really loved reading that, and I kind of had already known that he was probably going to broach that because he has a podcast about it that he talks about mental health. But I really liked the way that he wrote it, because he blends it all in with like the perfect amount of humor. So I found myself like laughing out loud at a lot of parts that like you probably shouldn't be, which I tend to deal with my own grief and my own problems the same way.
Yeah.
So I really, really related, and I liked it a lot. And plus, it was just nice to actually get a piece of Joe, because honestly, again, if you know anything about Fall Out Boy like me, you tend to get a lot of Pete and Patrick up front. You don't get a lot of Joe and Andy. So I really, really enjoyed getting this piece of Joe and like getting to connect with him. So 5 stars, 100%.
I love that.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah. First one I want to talk about is New Moon. I have been rereading all the Twilight books once a month, like 1 book per month for the rest of the year. Highly recommend reading New Moon in October. It's the perfect time of year for it. New Moon is controversially my favorite book, and it always has been. I know.
Yeah.
I know. I don't get it either. But I think it's because
I don't get it either.
I really don't. It's because it's not, and it has so little of the Cullens in it, and that's like my favorite part about, you know. But I think I love that it's so angsty, and it's like I struggle to say that there's any character development in the series. Here's the thing, is I'm a Twilight fan, but I know it sucks, okay? But the most character development I feel like happens in New Moon. Especially with a lot of the side characters. I just hate like how like Bella's just so depressed over this boy she hasn't even known that long.
So yeah, I mean,
like, you know that the whole course of the whole Twilight saga happens in like a year and a half.
I know.
And Edward's gone in New Moon for a good chunk of that. It's so crazy to me. So crazy to me.
Yeah, I know.
But I had such a good time reading it.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, I could go on for days about series that we've read and loved that were just
It's not a work of literature, but I have fun reading it. It's so nostalgic for me.
All we need, right?
And it's such like an October time read.
Like, here's the thing. As long as we're aware of the issues and we know that they're issues, like,
I've said that's the whole thing, and I'll say it again, like, this reading is a hobby, and I read what makes me happy. You don't have to like it.
All we need.
Yeah.
So the next one that I read, we both read this month, and we're just gonna tell you that we read it. It was Girls Without Tears by T.L. Finlay. We will give you some further information on that in another video.
Yes, we're doing a full book babble on it.
Our next book babble on it.
But, spoiler alert, recommend it.
We do recommend that one. We recommend that you read it and then you go watch that video.
Yes. And we also recommend that you read her other books, especially The Rules of Brooklyn.
The Rules of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So the next one that I read was By the Book by Jasmine Guillory. This is number 2 in the Meant to Be series, which I actually did not know, because they are companion novels, and the first one is by a different author.
Okay.
If the Shoe Fits.
I've never heard of companion novels by different authors. That's interesting.
Yes. It was, I think it's Julie Murphy, something like that.
Okay.
I did not realize, yeah, I didn't realize that either, but they're like loose, very loose, like
you're not spoiling anything, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. They're like very loose retellings. Like, it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling.
I thought you were going to say like the books were loosely related.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not sure, honestly, because I'm sure it's just like they somehow like know each other or something like that. But I haven't picked up the other one. I do want to read it now. But I gave this one 5 stars. It's definitely like one of those books where I enjoyed the fact that it was loosely, very, very loosely based on it, because it was today, it was like modern day, and there were just little nods, like just little hints of where I could see where the inspirations for certain things came from Beauty and the Beast, but it wasn't like an overall, like, just completely retelling it. And that's where I really like it. Because like, there's
I kind of
too
want to read
many.
it.
It's, you know, another thing that I really liked about it is because they were both in the the publishing world and the book world, which I just love so much. And it was definitely like the trope of like grumpy sunshine.
Yeah.
So and I do enjoy that.
Yeah.
And I was just really gushing along with them in this beautiful house because the house was beautiful. And she really loved the bathtub. There was just this bathtub that she absolutely loved, which was just like the one piece that I was just like just like the one piece of furniture that she really just absolutely adored.
Yeah.
I was like, just a little nod.
Cute.
So yeah, I really loved it.
Next one I read. It's an exciting one to talk about.
Oh, goodness.
Next I read Evil Queens, which is an anthology that yours truly, Chasity, wrote a short story for. Her short story was called Ava. Now I didn't read all of them in the book, but I'm counting it because I did read several. First one being Ava. I'm gonna open it up and show you.
Oh, I feel like I'm really in the hot seat right now.
Ava by Chasity Tarantino. I have a full in-depth review on her short story up on my Goodreads if you want to go read. But long story short, I really loved it. I gave it 5 stars. Ava is, when we kind of pick up with her, she's a businesswoman. She has this show, like this radio show where she like, is it like a radio show or is it a TV show?
It's a TV show.
Where she interviews celebrity guests. And she's kind of going through a lot of changes in her life. She is finalizing a divorce and like learning how to be on her own and processing all of that. And she interviews an actor, like an up and coming actor who kind of, they like really catch each other's eye. And it's really great. And I love the way that it ends because it ends like very, you know, like something is set up, but it's not, you know, and they live happily ever after. It's like there's room for interpretation, and it's very much just like the start of what could be a story. But what I really liked is that it wasn't very focused on their relationship. It was very focused on Ava and her kind of coming to terms with the end of her marriage and everything and how she was processing it. So I really liked it. Go pick it up. You can get the Kindle version or the physical copy.
Thanks. Thanks. I don't, you know, that's a thank you. That's
she's all embarrassed.
I'm like, I don't know how to move on from that.
Yeah.
I feel like I should give you a thanks, but also we don't typically have authors here to give feedback, so I should probably just shut up and move along.
Right.
The next one that I read was Runtime by Catherine Ryan Howard. This one I gave 3 stars. This was, I don't know if I would call it horror. It was like a thriller / horror. This was about a woman who was an actress who kind of had like a falling out in Hollywood. So she hasn't worked in a while, but she kind of wants to get back to work. And so she was more popular in her homeland of Ireland. So she came to LA to work to try to get it like back into the film industry. And she gets this job with this horror movie. And it's in a really remote location, not with a lot of like well-known people. So it sounds kind of ideal to her because like kind of running away from whatever it is, we don't really know, that happened on the last movie set that kind of sparked a whole lot of drama. But then like weird things start to happen and it ends up being like a lot freakier and like kind of ends up being like scary, and she kind of ends up running for her life kind of thing. Fearing for her life and fighting for her life, and it pretty much turns into like what you would assume like a horror movie. Really. Instead of filming a horror movie, she's living it. Yeah, kind of thing. The problem that I had was that some of the parts were really, really good and some were just really, really slow. I felt like I had a lot of trouble connecting with the characters, and that the story could have been finished, like the book could have been finished way sooner than it actually was. I felt like every time I thought it was ending, like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, we're
just
done.
Pick back up.
But then we just kept going.
Yeah.
So it was I was like, oh, why are we still going? But then towards the end, it really did pick up, and then I started to get like super engaged, and then I was like, oh wait, what's gonna happen next? So I felt like if like that middle part would have just been like cut, like if a good editor had just like sliced a little bit of it up, it would have been like much closer to a 4.5 for me. But there was just part of it that I was just like, this is just dragging on a little bit too long for me.
That's fair. Yeah. The next book that I read was Ledge by Stacey McEwen. I believe this came out in September. This came out pretty recently. It's a fantasy book and it's not super long, but I really liked it, and I will be continuing with the rest of the series when it comes out. This one follows Dawson, who is our main character, and she's stuck on and I never know how to like describe it when I'm telling people about it, but she's stuck on this like land that is, you know, overlooking a ledge, and it's like very there's no way off this like little bit of land. It's basically like on the top of like a glacier, and the only way off is to like jump off, but then you die. So like and it's freezing all the time, like crops don't grow very well, all these people are starving, they're cold, they're poor, they have nothing. And once a year there's this sacrifice where like the head of the household has to step outside and wait and come for like wait for the glacians to come, and they sacrifice a certain amount of people every year. So her entire family at this point has like been sacrificed to the glacians, and she's somehow or has like died trying to go after other family members. So she's by herself in her house, so she's the one that has to go out and represent her household for sacrifice. And in the first chapter or two, she is the one who gets picked for sacrifice, her and a few other people. And it kind of follows her in below the ledge, like in that land where the glacians live. And she kind of finds out what actually happens to people when they get taken and brought down there. And she encounters one of the glacians, he's actually a half glacian named Ryan, who has a mission that he wants to accomplish and finds her helpful. And so they kind of end up working together. So it's sort of like an enemies to lovers sort of. The romance was very much like not on the forefront for me. The world was really interesting, and I am very interested to see how they go into it more in later books.
This one, I've been eyeing this one for a while.
Yeah.
I was so excited.
I would say like, I think I give it a 4-star, not a 5-star. I think the world building could have been done better. However, I feel like that's kind of a common theme with fantasy books in the first one. I feel like you need multiple books to kind of get into it. For the most part, it was easy to follow. Like I just feel like I wish she would have delved into the world a little bit more, and kind of how she does kind of reveal how they all ended up there, but how they, you know what I mean, with like fantasy, kind of how, like what went into the whole thing.
Yeah, sometimes it's a bit big.
But I bet she will get more into it in the later books in the series. I don't know how many she plans to write, but I mean, all in all, I really liked it.
The next one that I read was Baby Teeth. Scared the bejesus out of me. This was definitely a 5-star. I loved this book. Super, super disturbing though. It's about a family who has a daughter named Hannah.
She has a good name. Don't fault her for having a good name.
Anyway, she's like 8 or something like that. I can't remember exactly, and the synopsis won't tell me. So she's old enough to like say a lot of creepy stuff. All I know is that, okay? Do a lot of creepy stuff, say a lot of creepy stuff. But there's clearly something going on, and she says a lot of things. Well, first, let me preface this by saying she doesn't speak at all to anyone except for the mother. And nobody else has ever heard her speak. And then when she
didn't even hear her speaking to the mother?
Nope. She will only do it when no one else is around. And then when she speaks to the mother, she says some really fucked up stuff. And she'll do it in this like French accent.
What the fuck?
Yes. Yes. And like, and nobody believes the mom. Like and that's what was probably like the most frustrating thing to me, is because like, again, we're at this question of like nurture versus nature, but like the dad doesn't believe the mom, and clearly all these things are happening, and like people are getting hurt.
Is the kid like trying to mess with the mom? That's just
like wild. The mother is getting injured. You know, things are happening to the mom, and like the dad does not believe her, and it was very frustrating to me to like read this and like see how much denial this father was in. And I'm just like I get she's a child, but also like clearly like 2 + 2.
And why would she make that up?
Right. Like about your own child. But also it just terrifies me to have children. This absolutely terrifies me. It was such a good book, though. It was such a good book. But also the very ending just furthers my opinion that some people should just not have children.
It's true.
And I'll just leave that there. I'll just leave that right there with you.
It's been on my list for actually a long time. Baby Teeth has been out for a while.
It has been out for a while. I've had it for a while, and you should just read it.
Yeah.
You should just read it.
Next one I want to talk about, so obviously in October I wanted to read some horror, so I read 2 horror short stories, novella, whatever you want to call them. They're shorter books. First one was Nothing But Blackened Teeth. I didn't rate this one because I don't know how to rate it. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. It was one of the weirder books that I've ever read. I don't quite know. It's like one of those books that you can't take at face value. I feel like it all kind of means something else. But it's about like this group of friends that reunite in this like random house on a trip. And kind of a whole lot of old demons are drug up because of it. And there's very much like a weird relationship between the characters. Like, you almost see them like picking sides. Our main character kind of really only gravitates towards this one person, and it seems like she's dated 2 of the other people. Because at first I was like, oh wait, did she date this guy or this guy? But then I realized that it kind of suggests that she dated both of them. But then one of the guy's new girlfriends is there, and there's like definitely some tension. But then a whole bunch of like crazy shit starts to happen because they start talking about this old story from the house of like the woman that lives there who was like there to get married, and now she's like, her spirit is trapped there.
Oh god.
And it all kind of unfolds from there. So it's definitely like a paranormal kind of horror.
I mean, I love that, but also, oh god.
But it was, I don't know how to rate it. Like, I don't.
Can you imagine being trapped somewhere?
No.
Like, oh.
That would be my luck too.
That would be my luck too.
I guess I just don't, I don't know how to rate it. I don't even know whether or not I recommend it. I mean, it was wild. It was weird. And then at the end of it, I was like, okay, like, I don't know what I read. Do you ever read books like that?
Yeah, I mean, like,
I can't even say if I liked it or not. I read it, and I don't regret reading it, but
yeah. No, I've had a few like those. That's kind of how I felt about 1922 by Stephen King.
Yeah. It was just weird. It was very weird, which I knew going into it that it would be, because that's what I've heard a lot of people describe it as, is just strange.
Yeah.
It's kind of very controversial though. Like, some people, they really, really, really love it, and then some people are like, I don't know what just happened. And it's not even, I'm saying that because it's like a thriller. It's not. Like, I understand what happened, but it was just all weird. That's the best way to describe it. It was just very strange.
It was just a strange
It was a very strange book.
Okay, that's fair. I mean,
and it was weird to me too because the characters didn't all show up together. Like, one character would like came almost halfway through the book, and everybody seems to have a problem with him except for the main character. It was all weird. And like, one kind of gets possessed. It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing.
Okay. I don't like that. No possession here.
I know.
That's something that I really don't like.
She was wild. I don't know if I recommend it or not. Read it if you want. Don't if you don't. I don't know what else to say about it.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
The next one I read was a reread of It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover.
In preparation.
In preparation. I still absolutely loved it. I just loved it.
Did you feel like it was a bit cheesier than you remember it being?
I didn't.
No?
I remember you saying that, but I didn't.
I feel like it was. It's not that I didn't like it. I didn't remember it being so, like, cutesy at times, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely
a much darker
is.
book.
It definitely is. I thought it moved a lot quicker.
Yes, it's a shorter book than I remember it being.
I felt like Ryle and Lily got to a certain place much quicker than I remembered. I thought there was much more of the original Ryle.
No.
But there's not. There's not a lot. So, I also don't remember them eloping, but it makes so much more sense that they did.
I remember them, yeah. I highly recommend reading that book, but huge trigger warning for domestic violence. Also, I still had just so much. It was beautifully written. It's so impactful. Especially like the throwback chapters.
I cried. I cried my heart out again. I've got to tell you that this is really just like Lily's book. For me, this is the thing. For me, this one made such a huge impact on me, and it was Lily's. Okay, this was Lily's book. For me, I didn't really see very much of Atlas when I first read this book. Atlas did not make an impression on me.
Really?
Yes. I liked him, don't get me wrong. But this had so much to do with Lily, okay? Because she was the character for this book. And it had so much more of an impression on me, okay? Her story, her life, her character made an impression on me. And that's what was the lasting impact.
I liked Atlas's story too, though. He has such like a great...
I know.
Yeah.
My opinions on that, however, will be in our Bookish Babble.
Interesting. Because we're not doing a Bookish Babble on that one. We're doing it on the next one.
Yeah, because you'll have to continue watching.
Okay.
The next one that I read was another reread. Court of Mist and Fury. Nothing has changed here.
Nope.
Nothing, not a single thing. I love it more. Every time I listen to it, I find new things that I love. I find more notes. I'm pretty much a scholar at this point. I have filled journals.
It truly is almost a perfect book.
I adore it. It is my favorite book. Yeah. I cannot tell you how many times I have reread it. I don't care. You can tell me whatever you want. Slander it all you want.
Akamath is such a good book.
I don't care.
Also, side note, kind of related, you should go check out our TikTok account. A friend of ours made a TikTok of me over a year ago, like well over a year ago, saying that I will never read a single Sarah J. Maas book in my life, and then cuts to me talking about all the Sarah J. Maas books. It's just kind of funny. Our TikTok is down below if you want to go look at it.
Yes. Which we are going to start being more active. Let us know below what you guys would like to see on there.
Yes.
You know, like, just hit us up with some ideas. So the next one that I read was The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. So, fun fact, a few months back I read The Proposal, not knowing that it was number 2 in the series. And now I went back and read number 1.
It's sort of a running theme for you.
I don't look these things up.
Yeah.
See, you look them up because you're looking at reviews. I don't look these things up.
You're like, this sounds interesting.
This sounds
number
good.
4 in a series.
Yeah. I've done it.
Yeah.
I have done it. Yeah, it's a problem. I thought this one was really fun. It was really cute. Funny. These characters were very relatable. They caught my attention right away. The story, it just kind of took off running right away. I liked the plot, and the side characters were really good. Plus, one of the side characters ends up being the main character in the next one, so I kind of already knew him. So I liked that. However, the one like side note I would say is like the main trope of this one is like a big miscommunication thing. I'm not a huge fan of that trope. Yeah. So like I was starting to get a little irritated towards the end of like how long it was taking them to finally come around and like get over it. But I did really enjoy this one. So I give it a 4-star.
Next book I read is one that we both read. It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. This came out in October. I read it the day it came out. It was perfect. It was everything that I felt like it's interesting because when I read It Ends With Us, there was supposed to be no sequel. And I read it as a complete story, and I was okay with it being a complete story. So I was a little bit worried that I wouldn't like this one, because sometimes when authors try to add on to a book that's not meant to be part of a series, you know, it can be a little weird.
I'm not, you're being nice. I was not excited.
I also wasn't. I was when I saw the title, concerned. It Starts With Us,
I thought it was going to be a prequel.
I thought it was going to be just Atlas's story.
I was really concerned.
But I really liked it.
Loved it.
I really liked it. It's Atlas and Lily forever. I don't even care. They're one of my favorite like book couples ever. I truly love them so much because they have both been through an incredible amount. And they're both really admirable, strong people and successful people, and they end up finding their happiness in the end. And it's just, once again, like a great story of them kind of figuring out their past and coming together and building a future. And we've got like some new characters in this book, namely on like Atlas's side of the family. I don't know how much I want to spoil anything. But it was great. I loved it. It's a good book when you read it and when you're done, you're like sad that you have to say goodbye to these characters. Because I felt like that after I read It Ends With Us and after I read It Starts With Us. I was like sad. I was like, no. I wasn't ready to be done with them yet.
This book felt like a hug.
It really, and I felt like I felt like I was reading about like friends. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It was very nostalgic to pick back up with these characters. This series gets a lot of hype, and it's well deserved.
It is.
'Cause it's good.
It is.
It's just good. I don't care.
Yeah, I
know it's like fun to shit on Colleen Hoover nowadays, and I don't care.
Fuck that. Okay, I don't care. Listen, I'm an OG Colleen person. Okay,
we started reading these books years ago. She read them before I did.
I read Colleen Hoover when she had 3 books out. Guys,
I remember like we used to work at a bookstore together. We kind of still do. It's a long story, but I remember like when I was reading Colleen Hoover, like I had to order her books online because they weren't carried in stores. Not all of them were carried in stores. She was still like indie publishing some books. Like I read Verity when it came out and it wasn't even available in like a physical copy in a store. And so I do love seeing all of, like the hype that she's getting now. But of course with more hype comes more people who just want to be hipsters and hate on somebody who's popular. But she's popular for a reason because she's good.
She's good. So the next one that I read was Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. I really enjoyed this one. It was about a family, a dysfunctional family, very dysfunctional family. And the grandmother, who's an author, she lives on like this island. Or it's not like really an island, but it's like secluded. And she has this belief, like what this fortune teller told her, like on her 83rd birthday or something, that she's gonna pass away. And so she calls like her family, all of her family, to come and like gather on her like her 83rd birthday party or whatever, like to her house to like all come to her birthday party because she's like convinced that she's gonna kick the bucket. And well, stuff starts to go down.
I can imagine.
And well, people do start to die.
Interesting. Didn't you say it was like real life Clue?
It felt like a game of Clue.
Yeah.
Like a real life game of Clue. And I absolutely loved it. And I have to tell you that I really did not see it coming.
Interesting. Very rarely now when I read these thrillers do I not guess it.
I very, very rarely, like, I had probably like 3 or 4 different theories, and every time I would come up with them, it'd be like, oh, well, there goes that one. Oh, well, there goes that one. And by the time we got to the end, I was like, I would have never saw this coming.
Interesting. I kind of want to read that one.
It was really good.
Yeah.
It was really good. So I would highly recommend it. And then the next one I read, The Family Remains by Lisa Jewell. Another little psych thriller. This one was good. I don't think it was as good as Daisy Darker. I gave it 4 stars. Probably because...
What?
It's a sequel. And I didn't realize that.
I told you, you're like famous for doing it. I can't tell you how many times you've done this.
Just in this video alone.
Just in this video alone, but you've definitely done this before.
I'm so bad at this. Well,
because I remember, I don't even remember what book it was, but I remember a few months ago we were gonna read a book together, and then I was like, wait, Chasity, this is like not the first one in the series. We have to read the rest of the series first, and then we didn't even end up reading it.
It was good though. It was good though. I didn't realize it until like towards the end.
Yeah.
It was good.
Well.
Oops.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. I can't keep track of these things.
You just gotta look it up for 2 seconds.
No.
Next book I read, keeping with the horror theme towards the end of the month, was The Mist by Stephen King. I have been wanting to read this one for a while. I'm one of those people who really, really, really loved the movie, and I actually loved the ending to the movie. I know the ending is so controversial. I loved it. I love shit like that. The book ended differently, but I still really enjoyed reading the book. I actually listened to most of it on audiobook before switching back to the physical copy, and I loved the audiobook. I have to say, the one thing I didn't like about it was the main character, and I'm terrible with names, so I don't remember his name. His inner monologue irritated the shit out of me. And I think that was intentional, because I feel like, I don't know if it's ever been confirmed, but I feel like the general consensus is that that is like human nature at its very worst.
Okay,
yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's all these people gathered together in a very scary situation, and you see the worst of them. And so I think that, like, maybe he wouldn't have been such an annoying character if he wasn't going through something like that.
That's true.
If you're not familiar, it's about this town that gets covered in like a sudden really dark mist, and you can't see through it, and all these people are trapped inside of a grocery store when it happens, and some of them try to leave, and there are monsters in the mist. Have you seen the movie, right?
I've seen the movie, yeah.
Yeah. And then you see kind of, like I said, like the worst of human nature. There are some people who turn towards religious, what would you even call her?
A religious
extremist.
Yeah.
Like a religious extreme. Yeah, fanatic. There are some people who are in denial. And then there's also like the people who have kind of a power struggle and want to be the leaders, and then there are the people who actually step up and say like, okay, this is what's happening, let's make a game plan, let's try to figure out how to keep us safe while we're here. And it's all very interesting. I definitely recommend it. I have to say, I think I liked the movie better. I think I liked the movie better, and I very rarely say that, just because I loved the ending to the movie. If you've seen it, you know I know you think I'm fucked up.
Oh,
you know
I liked the ending.
I loved the ending. I loved
I thought it was
like
good.
That ending was so good.
I like controversial endings.
Because that ending, like, nobody else has the balls to do an ending like that. Because you're watching it and you're like, oh my god. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was a fucked up.
Yeah.
But I like controversial endings.
But it's really good, and it's a pretty short book, and it's just one that I'd recommend. It was a good read. I really enjoyed reading it, and I like things that make you take a look at human beings like that. You know?
I do.
Yeah.
the last one that I read.
per my recommendation.
The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker, which Hannah has been trying to get me to read for, I don't know, since we started this channel.
Mm-hmm.
I read it. I really did like it. The problem with this book right now is that I chose a very inopportune time in my own personal life to pick up this book.
Yeah.
Other than that, which is of no fault of this book, it's my own personal fault. This book is really good.
The scenery,
I love the scenery. The side characters were really cute. I really loved the town. I really loved, what's his face? I forgot his face again.
I keep calling him Wyatt because in my mind he looks like Wyatt Russell.
Not Wyatt. What is his name?
Jonah?
Jonah.
It's something like that.
I really like
I think it's
Jonah. Jonah was a good guy.
He's Wyatt to me. He looks like Wyatt Russell.
We discussed this
Read
already.
that book and tell me
Wyatt.
that you don't imagine him as Wyatt Russell.
Right. He's definitely Jonah.
Yeah.
We like Jonah.
Yeah.
Calla?
Terrible.
Yeah, Calla. Calla annoyed me.
She's a shit, and I love her.
She definitely grew on me after a while because she figured it out. But Calla, I definitely, from like the first moment, I was like, yeah, you're a shit.
I love characters like that, though.
You're a shit,
it's
and I
endearing.
know why Jonah doesn't like you.
Yeah.
Pull your head out of your ass.
Yeah, and she gets it together.
But she gets it together.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a really good read.
Emotional though, especially towards the end.
Emotional.
Yeah.
Fucking wrecking.
And it's the emotional part that she was kind of struggling with at this point in her life.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was struggling with it, but also, like, I just ignored it. I was like, ah, you're funny.
Skip.
Skip that shit. But, yeah.
All in all, successful reading month for the both of us.
Successful.
Yeah, I didn't read a single book that I just, like, didn't like. Like, I liked everything that I read.
Not to mention we read
a lot.
Whole lot. Like, a whole lot.
Did I talk shit about any books in this video? I think I liked everything I read.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. That's rare for me.
We did not have
I'm a shit talker.
We didn't do much shit talking.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you have it. That's what we read this month. October was a good month for us. Comment down below. Hit that like button and subscribe. And make sure you turn on that notification bell so you know when we post next. Bye.